lesson today. I'm still working on ways to bring in the right hand. And as you can see, I have a second window here. I'm using a second camera. And so I thought I'd use it to go over finger picking because it keeps coming up. How do you do that? How do you pick with your right hand? Well, actually, when I learned to finger pick, I was first learning violin. So I learned violin in grade school. I, moved up into the orchestra and played, read music and everything. But I really fell in love with the guitar, and that violin went up in the attic, and that was it. Actually, it wasn't an attic, it was a closet. I still have that violin. It was my grandfather's. Anyways, I did get some classes right after that when I received my first guitar. I went to a teacher, and they used the Melbe modern method, and they taught me how to finger pick. So I still use that same method. I suppose I've probably morphed it into some of my own stuff. But as you can see, each of these fingers and my thumb have specific jobs. You'll also notice right now I don't have a thumb pick on. If I had a thumb pick on, these bass notes would sound a little deeper. In fact, let's see if I've got one nearby here. Oh, here's one. You can hear there's quite a difference between finger picking and using a pick. So here I have a pick. You see, it's quite different. It has different sound, but I learned this way. And so it's a little bit softer. So you kind of have to keep that in mind. When you're learning different styles, you're going to get different sounds coming out of your guitar. Some of them will be softer than others, and it might not fit the style of music you're playing. You might have to learn more than one method, is what I guess I'm saying. So I'm going to just work on one method today, and what we'll do is we're going to just go over how I was taught to practice so that I could get my thumb and my fingers doing their job. And my thumb would work independently of these fingers so that I could alternate in picking. So actually, the Melbe book first taught to read a scale in the first position and actually play it. And so I learned that first, but I learned it using certain fingers. So when I played the notes, whatever string I was on, you'll notice I use the thumb and the finger for specific strings. The thumb's responsibility is strings 6, 5, and 4. These three fingers have, this is the first finger, we call this 1, 2, and 3. And when you look at your strings, you're calling them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this would be string 3, this would be string 2, this is string 1. And so finger 1 strikes string 3, and 2 is responsible for string 2, and string 1 is your ring finger. 1, 2, 3, and you're playing strings 3, 2, 1. Does that make sense? That's their job. So it's not that I don't ever go outside of that parameter, because I move around sometimes depending on what I'm doing. But for the most part, when I'm playing those notes, those fingers have been trained to play those strings. So there is one approach. You could go get one of those old Melbay books and just sit down and in the first position, learn to play that scale. And if I remember right, as you go through it, it teaches you the note, and then you learn how to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and, and all those things. But the good thing about that approach is it does get your fingers used to playing the strings they're responsible for, and the thumb staying where it's supposed to stay. So it really did work for me. That approach, learning helped a lot. However, if you aren't into learning the notes, you just want to learn how to pick and learn some kind of style, I suppose what you could do is just start out with some exercises. Now you know the thumb is going to be responsible for strings 6, 5, and 4. So you might just start out with working with just your thumb and maybe pick 5, 4, 6, 4. Right, you could do that. It might sound better if you make a chord. That's a G chord, right? And just play that. Every day you get up, sit down for a little while and do that. So I'm doing 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. I'm talking strings now. 5, 4, 6, 4. And so start slow. And it's boring, I know. And you don't even never actually have to play the chord. You could just mute the strings. But the purpose is to get that thumb to remember that's their strings. Now, that's one pattern that you could use, right? 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. But you might want to change it up a little bit. You might want to do 4, 5, 6. Or 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, or 6, 4, 5, 4. Right? Just change it up and whatever, pick something that morning. And for, let's say, a week, okay, every day, spend like 15, 20 minutes doing this. And then each day, maybe do a different pattern, right? Say, okay, today I'm going to do 4, 6, 5, 6. Oh, I can't do it. 4, 6, 5, 6, 4, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, 4, 6. There we go. And just practice that. And as you practice it, it'll become easier. And as you can see, I'm struggling with that for some reason. I have to think about it. Naturally, I'm usually doing this pattern. 5, 4, 6, 4. That's a real common pattern that I don't really think about it anymore. I don't think I'm doing, I don't sit down and think about it. I just play, and as I'm listening to what I'm playing or playing with someone else, I know where the notes are going to be in my mind. So it's sort of a spontaneous change up. And so I don't think about it. But I know that when you first start, you have to have some structure to get your brain used to doing that. So pick a pattern and work on that, okay? In the meantime, you're going to have to get these 3 fingers used to these strings. I'm doing 3, 6, or 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. it's just a pattern that you could pick and just sit there and pick that until you get these fingers get used to that. Unless, of course, you want to pick a scale. In this case, I'm doing, I've got a capo on right now because I want to be able to get this in the frame. So I'm moving up, but you know, you could take the capo off and do this thing on frets 1 through 3. That's just so, but we're right up here because the capo is acting as the nut, okay? So. And you'll see what my fingers do. It's another way that you can do it to get those fingers used to that. The other thing you can do is play a chord. And here I'm just doing the G chord. And I'm going back and forth between those 3 strings. And then at some point, when you kind of feel like just maybe they might know their place, then sit down and try to very slowly make a chord and just pick. Okay. And just, you know, go through the chords 6 through 1 on the strings, and then 1 through 6, back up and go the other direction until your fingers get used to this. And here I'm opening this chord with its root note, which is very common when you're finger picking. The first pick that the thumb makes is of the low root note, okay? So if you're playing a C chord, the root note's here, right? 3rd fret, 5th string. So I would start there. In the G chord, your root note's here is G. It's on the 3rd fret, 6th string. So you see, you have to build to it, and you've got to do different exercises until your fingers get used to it. Now let's just talk a little bit about the positioning of this hand here. You'll notice that when I'm holding my hand, I'm coming in so that my hands are they're not straight like this, okay? There's no way you can do this, to have your hands coming in straight like that. What they are is they're coming in at an angle. You see that there's like a triangle here? I'm kind of coming in at an angle. See that? And you'll notice my wrist here, I'm not doing this like I'm afraid to touch it or something. Okay, that's not what I'm doing. I've got it down here. It's not touching the strings right now. It's just, see that? Now that's not to say that you won't want to at some point come down here and rest on the strings to get that mute sound. A light, you notice the heel of my hand is touching the strings ever so lightly. Okay, so there is a point where you want to mute strings, but for now, when you're practicing, bring your hand around. Now, I'm playing a pretty good sized guitar right here. This is a quadruple O, okay? So we heard the triple O guitars. Those are usually like 15 inches across the bout. This is a quadruple O. It's a 16-inch across the bout here. So it's a little bit bigger. I like this guitar. This is a Martin, as they call it, Martin M21 quadruple O. And when I'm playing it, if I'm standing up and have a strap on, I can't really tell as much that it's a large size guitar. But you hear the beautiful sound. When you pick it, this thing really, it's just a beautiful guitar. So, yeah, so, but also with this guitar here, I can get quite a bit of sound out of it. So it's a good all-around guitar. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's just a way to approach it. And then eventually what you can do is have that thumb doing a pick like 5, 4, or yeah, 5, 4, 6, 4. And then let these fingers pull out. There's different ways to do it. The thumb is doing the 5, 4, 6, 4 most of the time. Sometimes I fall out of it, but in between I'm picking a string, and it just so happens right here I'm only picking strings 3 and 1 in between. So I might hit the 5 and hit the 3 string, then I'll hit let's see. Okay, so I might hit the 5 and then hit the 3 string. And then I hit the 6, and then I hit the 1st string. And then I hit the 4, then I hit the 3rd string again. So the 2nd string's not being played in that pick. It's just the 3rd and 1st string, alternating between that pick with the thumb. I'm showing you fast, and it's not a good idea. You have to start slow. Okay? So practice that. Spend time with it. Picking those notes and then bring it together. So give that a try, spend some time with it. I hope I didn't confuse you with all of this, but you can see there's not one way to approach it. But what does need to happen is you've got to get this thumb working independently. So it's got to be trained to use those strings and these 3 fingers, 3, 2, and 1. And so use those different exercises, however it's comfortable for you, until you get used to when you pick up the guitar playing, so those fingers are always working on these strings, and that thumb's always up here working on these strings. Okay, and again, it's not that you'll never come out of that and do something else, because I do all the time. Sometimes I'll just move up and I'm just using these 3 fingers and the thumb. But for the most part, to start out with, train yourself to stay within the lines. Remember that when you were learning how to color? They work so hard to get you to stay within the lines. Okay. All right. So, with with that being said, I'm going to leave it right there. And I guess I should let the members know I'm going to be scheduling another Zoom call coming up. Probably going to be about a week and a half away. So I'll be getting that information out to you, and we'll have another call, another short lesson, and maybe share some things that we're doing. And in the meantime, I guess there's one other thing. I know I've been saying I'm going to go on a road trip, but there is no way with all these fires that I can go anywhere. I'm like cornered. We're doing pretty good in this area. There's not a lot of fires, but when you start moving outside of this area, if you go up north, you're hitting fires all across there. Now it's in Nevada. That's a main road, 80 there. We go through there all the time when we're traveling. So we just have to wait. I'm not going to get out there and get stuck in a fire someplace. So anyways, in the meantime, I'm trying to do some stores in the area. I was going to go today to the Tall Toad, and I got a little lazy and didn't do it. Perhaps tomorrow. But, beyond that, I think we're going to leave it right there. And I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in this world.